Hello, it's Todrick Hall.
Hey Baltimore, what's up? It's Jessica Betts here.
The Pride Center of Maryland and the Baltimore Pride Committee wants you to know that you matter, love matters, pride matters.
I'm only 17, bordering on 18, but I think it's super important to sort of build an LGBT community around youth especially, because I feel like to a lot of people, they don't see themselves on TV. There's not a lot of gay people. I mean, Netflix is obviously making that a bit better, but it's just like you feel like an alien a lot of the time. So I think it's important to sort of build that community, especially like in high schools and middle schools. I think it's super important to feel like you belong.
I guess it really was my first Pride, and I know that's such a corny thing to say, but it really was and that honestly, I wasn't really comfortable with myself. I was still in my mid-20s. Okay, now I'm dating. Now I'm giving you my age. In my mid-30s now, but anyway. Definitely when my first Pride was the best part, and it was in Baltimore actually. So I just remembered the scene. Again, as I said before, multiple people just being comfortable with themselves, and it gave me an opportunity to say, you know what, this is a community of people that even if I'm not 100% accepted in my family, that at least I have a community of people that love me and care about me and don't really care about anything else. And I think that was something that I needed to sort of validate me as a person and my sexuality.
Did you know that Baltimore Pride is one of our major programs every year? Did you also know it is one of the longest running LGBTQ prides in the entire country? In fact, it goes before the creation of the Pride Center. One of the best things about Pride is that it's literally like a family reunion. There are people that I love, that I see there, that I don't usually get to see in the rest of the year. And the feeling of oneness, of community, of absolute joy in celebrating our authentic walk is one of the joys that I have about Pride. I love the fact of the wide expressions in our community that we see in the LGBTQ Pride Parade here in Baltimore, and I love that atmosphere. It just feels like home.
Pride's important for two reasons, basically two reasons. Three if you count it's fun, that's number one. But number two is for those of us who celebrate Pride for ourselves, it's being part of the community. It's sharing that space and that spirit that we together, that we belong, and that we have a voice. But probably one of the most important reasons for Pride is it shares ourselves with the greater community. What I've learned through my life is the more people get to know us and who we are and how our lives are exactly the same as everyone else in terms of our daily living. As they get to know us, they get to understand us, they get to accept us. I don't believe in tolerance, I seek acceptance. And I think Pride gives us an opportunity to get to that acceptance. And I think that's part of the reason why we've seen changes over the last 2 decades, because we have been proud and we've participated in Pride, and people have seen us as their friends and their neighbors and their families. I came up to participate in Pride with now Senator Mary Washington, whom is just a great leader in this city, and share in her experience. And when I told my goddaughter that I was doing it, she asked if she could come and bring a friend. And sharing the experience with her and having her understand better who I am and who my friends are, and the joyfulness of this celebration was really meaningful.
The LGBTQ community needs to and should be as inclusive as we claim to be. As there's one thing we've learned over the last year is that we have to root out racism, sexism, even internalized homophobia within our own ranks. So if we say that pride means love and love is for everybody, that means that we have to demonstrate that within ourselves first.
Pride's important to me because I believe it to be an expression of every segment of our community and an acknowledgement of the work that we still have to do, both here in Annapolis and nationally, to continue to build greater equality for LGBTQ people everywhere in our state and our nation.
Every interaction we have has the possibility of being a positive, and sometimes people's questions about us and about our relationships aren't really mean-spirited, they're really just curious, and so I think being willing to answer those questions sometimes. My favorite, of course, always is, how'd you know you like women? And only guys ever ask me that question, and I always come back with, how did you know you liked women? And they kind of falter, and they're like, and they don't realize how stupid a question it is. So, but I do feel like people aren't necessarily being mean when they ask certain questions, and being open to those questions.
Baltimore Pride is important because since it's in the DMV, it's a mecca for different cultures, which I think is awesome. So that's one of the significant things. Also, Baltimore has a deep history of arts, to include music and different design dance. So I feel that Baltimore is significant in that way.
My first experience with Baltimore Pride, I was probably about 18, and I was a butch queen, and I was new to the scene, and I hadn't experienced much gay stuff prior to that. And I just remember coming out, and it was very, very, very festive.
Pride is important because it's a celebration of all of the situations and jubilations as well as tribulations that sexual and gender minorities experience. When I think about the political climate that we are in, with transgender people facing violence on the streets, as well as violence from the decisions that certain politicians are making, I find that Pride is a great way for the community to come together and to celebrate.
I've been documenting Baltimore Pride probably since the late 90s. I think Baltimore has probably one of the best Pride celebrations I've been to. I was born and raised in Baltimore on the east side, and I mean, I've been to DC, been to New York, but the community here is so welcoming and so much fun that it's just fantastic. I look forward to it every year. I started documenting the parade, and then I really got into some friends in the drag community and started documenting drag nights. And then a lot of that's in my book, We Used to Live at Night, which came out this year from Culture Crush Editions in New York. I'm very proud of that. And there's some fantastic drag shots in there. And as editor, or photo editor at City Paper, we did a lot with the drag community at City Paper.
My first involvement with Pride started when I competed and won the prestigious title of King of Baltimore Pride back in 2005. Once I became a member of the Brotherhood, as we like to call it, I finally had an opportunity to become an advocate for the gay, lesbian, bisexual youth in Baltimore City. So I started doing outreach, getting more and more teens tested, as well as trying to find housing for those who have been kicked out of their homes for being gay.
I discovered community in '77 on a school field trip. By '78, I found myself at my first Pride at Charles Center. And from that point forward, it was doing whatever was needed, picking up trash, moving tables, whatever was needed for community. It was like, yep, I'll do it. I was so excited to have found community that a young gay boy didn't feel like lost and alone.
We started Elder Pride in the Park, which I'm happy to say is a permanent footprint. And talk about love, the fact that we are still included in the community. which I would expect nothing less, but that we are included in this community and loved and cared about, not just as, people often say to me, why do you use the word elder and not senior? And elder is a very tribal connotation, which really is about, love and just respect and understanding and inclusion.
One of the reasons why Baltimore Pride is important to me is because it's about celebration, it's about unity, it's about love, it's about everybody coming together, it's about being comfortable in your own skin and having pride and celebration of life.
I promote the Queer Queens of Comedy. I am the Queer Queens of Comedy. I am one of the Queer Queens of Comedy, but I am the promoter of the Queer Queens of Comedy as well. And so when I came to Baltimore, I looked up the center and found the LGBTQ Center in Baltimore Pride and asked to be a part of it. And that was in 2007. And because I need to get a hold of all the gays. I need to find the gays. Where are the gays? Find the gays. Well, Baltimore, the center always knows where the gays are, and Pride always knows where the gays are, and the gays always know where Pride is. So I asked to be a part of, and they helped me promote the show, and then in turn I donate some of the proceeds from the show back to Pride.
A lot of people go through their whole lives not knowing that there are other people who are like them. Even if they're aware of it, they don't find those genuine connections that allow you to be more comfortable in your own body. So Pride not only lets people know that, hey, there's a group of people who want you to be politically existent and to be able to live as freely as possible, but there are other people who are specifically like you who also don't necessarily fit in gender norms and sexual expectations that are placed upon them on the date that they're born.
Baltimore Pride is important to me for one particular reason. I'm from a small town called Westminster, about 45 minutes outside the city, and within the past few years, Westminster Pride came kind of out of nowhere, and it was really surprising the very first year that there were a few hundred people there, maybe even a few thousand people there, in a very small conservative part of Maryland, and it was really surprising in a really positive way that there was so much support in a small part of Maryland.
I was young, I was 19, I was out there, I had just come out. I was with my aunt. I spent the whole entire Pride with my aunt, and it was amazing to be with someone who was a part of my family and accept me, even though someone else in the family may have something bad to say. At least I had the love of my aunt with me, and she partied like a 21-year-old. We went to the clubs, we went to the different outside events, but I also ended up with food poisoning that weekend. So that's why it was so memorable for me, because I ended up with food poisoning and ended up being in the house Saturday. So I was really upset about that. But it was still something for the books. The fact that I was able to spend Pride with my aunt.
We started as a company walking in Baltimore Pride 5 years ago, and as we've grown, more and more of our team members come out, and in 2019's Pride, we invited our construction team to come out, mostly straight men, and they came out and they had a blast, and I think it made them see how much Pride is about connecting communities together, and that they were welcomed, and that they could have a good time and that they could be themselves as well.
Well, I, for one, always love going to Druid Hill Park and going through all the stalls and watching the music stage. And I think by not being able to do that and not having some type of other substitute, people don't get to see each other. I think one of the most fun things about Pride and about being in Baltimore is that we're all very relaxed. Our point is to be casual. We like to do things right, but we also want to have a good time, and we like to see each other. I think it's our stoop culture. We want to see one another. And I think it was really hard on our psyche as a whole to not have an opportunity to feel seen and be seen.
The
early spot?
Yeah, we're going to go. Come on, Marshall.
Where are you going?
Down the hill. Where's this thing?
Let me see.
Oh, this is
Come on, Marcia, that's a heavy bag.
Yeah, wow. Marshall, stay here.
George is in the bar?
At the head of the bar.
Oh, really?
Yes, honey.
George, I missed you.
Oh, that's
I didn't see you in the parade.
Marcia, grab George again, honey.
Well, hello, everybody. We are so excited about Baltimore Pride this year. And I'll tell you, Pride is incredibly important to so many of us because it allows us to be our authentic selves without fear, hesitation, or shame. Pride symbolizes equality and a celebration of people and our alliances. It's being comfortable in who we are and who we're becoming. As a younger woman, when I came out, I remember just how much that really meant. Pride is liberating. It's celebrating our journey, whether at a parade with thousands of others or simply cuddling up with our favorite movie. Pride is everything and so much more, and Comcast proudly celebrates all of it. Our Xfinity X1 and Flex customers can simply say Pride into their Xfinity voice remote control to enjoy a large collection of LGBTQ+ TV shows and movies. You can watch those at home or on the go with our Xfinity Stream app. I'm so incredibly proud to work for Comcast, a company that has put the full weight of its resources behind amplifying underrepresented voices and educating our viewers on diverse and inclusive cultures, perspectives, and experiences. And I'll tell you, I absolutely love this year's Pride theme. You matter, love matter, pride matters.
yeah, 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 yeah.